No, no, you don't have time to claim that you still wanna make Hey Dzień dobry w imieniu wszystkich osób.
Good afternoon. On behalf of all the individuals who have contributed to organizing the City Development Forum, and this year's subject is the city in the face of solitude and loneliness, and it is my pleasure to start the first day. My name is Maciej Frąckowiak. I am a sociologist who cooperates with Adam Mickiewicz University in Poznań, where I carry out research on cities, and I try also to animate discussions like today's discussion. But it has been also my pleasure for several years to design these conferences. And this year's subject revolves around solitude and loneliness, phenomena that are typically associated negatively, things that we are doomed to. And loneliness is a state that we sometimes like to sometimes enjoy in order to separate ourselves from the from too intense presence of other people in the city. And within the 2 next days, we will have an opportunity to hopefully look for the balance between the two phenomena and to understand the difference between solitude and loneliness and how they intertwine. In a moment, we will start a debate, but because this is the first meeting as part of the series, let me start by telling you some organizational things. Firstly, I would like to welcome not only our audience here in the room, but also those who are joining us online. And let me also remind you that our meeting will be interpreted into the sign language and into English. And finally, please remember that this debate that is going to start in a moment is not the only debate today. The reason why I'm saying this is because they two are very well connected. The first debate is the power of weak ties designing relations in urban space, and it will be related to urban planning and activism and some design responses to be with people but not too close. And the other debate that will be moderated by Mateusz Pieczeński, art as a game changer for societal challenges, will be related to artistic answers to the subject. And in the first debate will be attended by Monika Arczyńska, in charge of a consulting company that deals with public space, but she also teaches the next the future architects at the Gdańsk School of Technology. We will also have here Monika Bak, who is an art curator and a philologist and a philosopher, a person who was among the first who developed post-humanist and the post-humanist aspect of philosophical reflections, and I can understand that Bogna Świętowska will come back. Her name will also be mentioned, and hopefully we will be joined by Joanna Jurga. Let me present her now. She specializes in designs related to a sense of safety. She will just run into the stage as one of the last. I hope that she will join us because she does a lot of many projects on neuroarchitecture, and the debate will be hosted by Bogna Świętkowska, and who is an expert on changes. And all these women deal with social space and architecture and releasing the potential in urban space, also defined as urban space. I would like to ask Bogna to join us. Maciej, thank you very much for your introduction. Thank you for introducing us, and let me just give you a brief outline of what you can expect from our panelists who will open this year's City Development Forum. What we have planned is a conversation that will take about 50 minutes, and then we will be very grateful if you could ask us questions, either from the audience in the room or maybe those who have joined us online. This will be a form of reviving the discussion, and we strongly encourage you to make use of this opportunity. Why the power of weak ties? Let me explain what is behind our discussion. In social relations, typically the stress is placed on social relations, contemporary social relations, being very superficial. We talk a lot about the negative effect of, for example, operating in the world of technology or social media which connect people but also separate people. But there's a couple of features of making weak ties, and we will define weak ties, ties that are not between us and our next of kin or our co-workers. These are weak ties because they relate to a large group of the people we know, and these weak ties seem to be an anchor in our network of social relations, in a picture that gives us a sense of belonging, not because we are very deeply involved in these relations, but because we know many people, albeit quite weakly. So how to design these weak ties, how to design them in public space, how to manage them so that as neighbors we say hello more frequently or talk to each other when we meet in a park. This we will be talking about, and I would like to ask Monika Arczynska to come to the stage. She has been presented by the moderator, and we will be very grateful for a very general introduction of how architects look at it. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. If I could have the presentation, please. These are just a few slides and two examples, because I love talking and resorting to specific examples, especially our original projects. Then I have first-hand information, and I know that this is not something for show, but if it's whether it's a success or a failure, at least you know why. When Bogna told me, "Can you talk about this?" I said, "Yes, of course. I need to show the Liberty Square in Łódź, in the city of Łódź, centrally located in Poland." And together with an architect studio, we did this. And we rarely work on things in space, in public space. And when we saw this extraordinary square that we thought about as a roundabout, some remains of greenery, very sad, and people just trying to cross it as quickly as possible and leave it. So we thought, yes, this is a task for us. This is what it looks now. And in order to reach this state, we had an assumption that this is a place for people to meet. I know how cliche-like it sounds, but that was exactly the assumption. And for us to reach this final result, and I think I can say that people from Łódź, the residents of Łódź, have fallen in love with this place. It's a huge square, octagonal square, which is now very green. It's full of people, and when the weather is nice, all the numerous benches are all taken. People come there with their blankets. They organize picnics on the lawn. Children run around, senior citizen relax. I think nobody feels lonely there. But in order to achieve this, we had to survive several waves of hatred. This had never happened to me before in my career. Suddenly it turned out that greenery is something bad because it's a historical place. So the buildings should be highlighted. And when we plant trees, then they will cover the buildings. Nobody talked about the shades, the shade that the trees would give. But finally, the social response to planting trees was positive. And experts would juggle different words of criticism, but another wave of hatred, unexpected, started when we were working on it. When you can see the green structure over there, hardly visible. This is a toy for children to play on. We thought that since this is a square for everyone should feel at home there and should find the right infrastructure for them. So we also designed this place for children. So another wave of hatred was that this is a representative square of the city, and there shouldn't be children playing in such squares. There's so many hidden places where it could have been put. Of course, well, this is a rather obvious example. We know what to do with urban spaces like this, how to place the benches for the people to interact, to feel like interacting. So I'll just leave all those classical examples of transforming city space behind us, but let me just show you a couple of slides that show a project carried out in Dąbrowa Górnicza in Ząbkowice city district. You may remember it for the glassworks, the local glassworks that used to produce for about 100 years glass products, and the famous glass chickens or hens that have made their way to many Polish houses. They come from Ząbkowice, and after the Second World War, it made a name for itself for some projects by Sylwester Drozdek and his wife, and they asked us, the local authorities asked us to work on the space of the specific district. This is a very dilapidated place with many problems, with many post-industrial buildings there. Unfortunately, the glassworks are no longer in operation, but we wanted to connect the place with what is happening between the people, many generations of people. This is what the glassworks looks like now. And what combines people, connects people on top of their identity and their attachment to the place, especially among senior people who used to work in the glassworks, or maybe their parents or next of kin did. The younger generation do not have such ties. When we talk to the local school children, well, they remembered the glass products from the glassworks, and they remembered family members working there, but they did not realize that this was important, appreciated, famous glass. And so on top of the many ways of transforming the space, we also suggested a look at what disappeared on top of material, tangible things. So, for example, among these things were trainings on designing glass. There were no longer classes in the schools, and the biggest event that was held there in June, the Chemists' Day, that attracted all the employees of the glassworks, and everybody enjoyed spending the day together. All this was history. So we encouraged the city authorities, in cooperation with the a foundation that promotes glass. So we tried to revive this chemist's day, and it actually took its own turn without our help. And this year we held another edition of the event, and this was an intra-generational event that showed the people that they have something in common, that whatever is happening between them, it is subject for conversation, and the local proud and stories that especially older people started to tell. This makes the event worth organizing and has a chance to survive, because it started a whole series of different events. For example, murals related to glass, or maybe an exhibition in outdoor exhibitions. So one subject followed another, and this may not be something that architects or urban planners do, but sometimes it may even be more important than the fact that a new bench was fixed. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that presentation. And now another one by Professor Monika Backe. Please take the stage. Professor Backe will speak about a project well known in Poznań. So if you're from around here, then you probably heard of it. It's about the Park of Silence to be designed in the place where a sports stadium once was. So we'll talk about the progress of this project and talking about those weak links in designing a space in a way that reinforces us. We need to remember our well-being. We need to remember about spaces that will help us regenerate, and this is very much related to things we do in solitude. Thank you for noticing this project, because I want to tell you about a place that actually exists already and a project that exists but awaits implementation. And hopefully it will come true. Can I have a slide, please? So, in downtown Poznań, there is a place like this. This used to be Edmund Schitz football stadium, then renamed to the Stadium of the 20th July. And this used to be an important place for many people in Poznań for many different reasons. Now, for the last 2 decades, it's been a desolate place, dilapidated place. No one goes there, but it's full of life. There are plants, animals, and there are more and more of them. So the place is, in a way, vibrant and brimming over with life. It's doing great, and in the middle of summer, you can see blooming flowers, even when grass in residential gardens is drying. So this place attracts attention of many people in Poznań. Many people fight for that place. There have been plans to ruin, to destroy that location, to convert it to a residential project. And high-rise buildings here would put an end to this lush greenery here. And this green belt was designed in the 20th century to give a fresh breath of air to the city. That belt no longer exists, but this place is a part of it. And let me quickly discuss the history of this place just to give you an idea of the reasons behind why we need a park of silence. So the stadium was commissioned in 1929, and in the opening game, the honorary stand collapsed, and Mayor Mościcki had to be evacuated. And later on, people realized that this is an inundation area of the Warta River. The designers didn't realize that before. So this is a place that belongs to the river, to trees, to birds, to wildlife. And then it was converted to a football stadium. The stadium was redeveloped right before the Second World War. Unfortunately, during the war, the stadium saw horrendous crime. 2,000 Jews were held prisoner there. They were forced labor held there. I'm mentioning this because this fact is barely known in Poznań. Even though the story is well documented, the history of those dark times is held in a museum in Żabikowo. The men held in there were Jews brought in from the so-called Wartengau, and they built two lakes in Poznań, Rusałka Lake and Malta Lake, and they also planted countless trees. This is very important for us because these are the parks where we relax today. These are the lakes where we bathe, where we swim. So these were those men who lived there under no shelter in this open-air prisoners' camp. And then they were moved to Auschwitz, and we don't know what happened to them later. So this is a tragic moment in the story of this place. So the silence is not without a reason. So this is how we could commemorate those events. After the war, the stadium was renamed to the Stadium of the 20th of July, and it saw events such as the annual Farmers' Harvest Celebration Day, or the finish line of cycling tours, or a concert of Bonnie M, which many older people well remember. Many people used this location for practicing sports. After 1989, the stadium was dilapidated, and many different things happened. I will not be mentioning them in detail now because it's not the venue for it. But those things made this place unsuitable for sports or recreation. Eventually, the place was bought by the city of Poznań recently, and in accordance with the local zoning plan, this area is earmarked for leisure and recreation. And revitalization works around the stadium are underway. The stadium itself is a place where wildlife blooms, and wildlife in the middle of Poznań is doing just great. The trees you can see are growing spontaneously in the area of the former stands, terraces for fans. You can see green grass. When you come here in winter, you will see lots of nesting places for animals. They are particularly well visible in winter. Can we have the next slide, please?
Proszę Państwa, miejsce to, mimo że od ponad 2 dekad jakby nie funkcjonuje.
Even though the place had not been in operation as a stadium for 2 decades, it's still a venue hosting many projects by activists that highlight the importance of this place. And this is one of those events. I will come back to the details later on. So this is the main entrance to the stadium. Can I have the next slide, please? That's the trees on the terraces. And we also have an artificial rock that's concrete, which once was the benches on the terraces. Those artificial rocks are important for the ecosystem because a lot of moss grows on those rocks, and that's a rare species of moss. Many wildlife inventories were performed here, and apparently there are many rare plant and animal species there. So this is a wildlife community in its own right, and it should be protected as such. It's a refuge for those species. Next slide, please. This is what you can see when you walk around the crown of the stadium. So a path in thick greenery. And when we come back to this slide, well, when I show it to people, they tell me, "Hey, but this looks like cemetery." In fact, it is. And in this idea that we have, the Park of Silence, those former benches will stay because of the wildlife that exists with that concrete. And this will also be a reminder, a stark reminder of the dark history of the area. So this is a place that should be associated with a cemetery. So we want to keep it that way. Next slide, please. And another picture showing a campaign, an event by Anna Siekierska, an artist from Warsaw. She was involved in my project called Refugia, and she actually drew my attention to that place. I knew that place existed, but I didn't realize how wonderful it was. So in this campaign, in this event, people planted 2,000 daffodils to commemorate 2,000 Jews who were imprisoned in that stadium. So this was a social campaign. The daffodils bloomed. They keep blooming. The number is smaller because this was a few years back. We, in this way, remembered the tragic history of the stadium, and this reminds us that this is a multi-layered place that is still alive despite its tragic history, and with this multi-species life, this place can reinvent its dark history. So a park of silence in this location will commemorate the tragic past, and it's also the silence for those who live in the city today. It's a city for people and other living creatures. And silence is important because it lets you spend a while with yourself. In this way, you can better understand who you are. And silence in this place will never be absolute because you have traffic, you have planes, but it's much quieter than elsewhere in the city. And that's because the stadium is surrounded by an embankment, which acts pretty much like a sound screen. And as you could see, on that embankment, there are thick trees, which is additional protection. Moreover, the embankment and the trees give you partial protection against artificial light, which is yet another element that reinforces the nighttime silence for animals that live there. This is a unique place. And all people who care about this place believe that being in silence allows you to hear birds and other animals. You can better hear yourself, and eventually you can hear other people as well. And this is a place where possibly the inhabitants of Poznan and other cities could be reminded that noise pollution is terrible in Polish cities these days. 40% of city dwellers suffer from noise, which translates into a whole lineup of health conditions, not only related to mental health, but also physical health as well.
I think that this is a place that could draw our attention to the problem. I do hope that Poznan will save this city and that one day we will meet in the Park of Silence. Please take your seat on the stage. And so we'll now proceed with the discussion, hoping that Joanna Jurga will join us promptly, because after this presentation, her perspective would be very valuable. This is because your remark on noise pollution and its negative effect on human health, it will certainly be deepened by Joanna. Let me remind you that we are talking about the power of weak ties. We're talking about solitude and loneliness. These are two situations that are different. So why don't we start with ordering the situation, ordering the definitions? Why don't we look at this as philosophers and urban designers and be a bit more concrete? So solitude. What is solitude? This is about severing social ties. It's about isolation. I think it's a sense of isolation, because even if we have relations with others, many people may perceive them differently. Research suggests that congestion in cities adds to, ironically, adds to a sense of solitude. So in cities, we need to be very aware of solitude. And solitude is a sense of not being in touch with others, not being in deep touch with others, where we can relax, where we can be ourselves, we can hear ourselves. And in some of these contacts, we are familiar. Someone knows us, someone knows about us. What is important is a sense that someone can hear us, and I'm talking about humans and non-humans, because our pets also listen to us, hear us, and know us. And the important thing is that It's not only that we receive signals from others, but people also receive our signals, because there's so many signals from others. We are flooded by signals directly and indirectly, virtually, but nobody knows us, nobody sees us. That's what solitude is about. We are talking about the last floor prisoners. This is a difficult conversation about everyone, especially the elderly or people with disabilities, who are lonely because we have designed the cities in this way. We have designed buildings in a way that enforce lack of relations and interaction. And the buildings are solitude building machines. You take part in many sessions on how to prevent the negative effects of civilization in cities, and what is the shape of the latest discussion on this area? What remedies do you suggest? It really depends on the level. There's so many remedies involved, and when we talk about the last floor of the building, this is a simply infrastructural thing. So people who live on top floors, they cannot take a lift because there's no lift to go down. So this is a huge bag of infrastructure-related problems that need to be solved in a systematic way. So let's put it aside, let's park it, or we'll just be talking about some subsidies related to infrastructure upgrade. But when you talk about people who operate in cities, whether they have or do not have mobility problems, or that are irrespective of their age, I think that in today's world there's less and less interaction. We used to go to the local market, open market. Today we go to a hypermarket or a supermarket where we tend to use unmanned cash desks. Instead of asking the way, we have devices that show us the way. Sometimes it's even difficult to buy a tram ticket in a kiosk because there's no kiosks. So there used to be elements of the infrastructure and people who would give us minimum contact with another human being. These things are disappearing, but I think that we have started noticing it, and we start to transform our space in order to revive interactions. So we start to discover the importance of local open markets, that maybe we do not need to press a button and do nothing, but maybe we could walk at a space that the streets encourage us to be pedestrians or cyclists, diverse and diverse means of transport, because instead of seeing another person in a car, you can only see the windshield. So all the solutions that we know that we need to introduce them in the cities because of the situation, say the climate crisis, they are also, by the way, conducive to interaction because they take us back to the traditional way of operating in a city. And the fact that cities are more condensed, that suburbia are evil incarnated. We will not be supporting development of suburbia. That makes us all look for places of solitude and silence, because we have managed, I think, to reach a stage where we go one step too far. Perhaps we will go back to this in our conversation, but let me proceed with loneliness. what I wanted to achieve in this short discussion to talk about all the characteristics of loneliness that are a response to this being overwhelmed by stimuli and the difficult life in a city. And we have been devoting a lot of time to thinking about cities as a very complicated structure that has many spaces where we can relax, even if you cannot escape the city hum for good. But for a while we can assume a different social role. When being engaged in social contexts, we assume specific roles. We become some figures, and we need space where we can be ourselves, for ourselves. Exotic as it sounds. And so creating a green infrastructure, something that you called our biodiverse neighborhood, it offers a very strong narration that also generates opposition. And arguments are put forward that the city is not a village or a rural area, that city is not a place for cultivating rare species of plants and animals. And the situation now, including the climate crisis and all the challenges that we need to face, which tie us to nature, they show that these arguments are actually weak, that in fact we should think about places of refuge, like the silent park, that can be an answer to very difficult physically situations, especially in very hot summers, and our response to the reality. So now the question is about loneliness in the greenery. When we talk about parks, a question arises about the light, about safety. What kind of arguments can you use in favor of a nice moment of solitude, which in our world and in our expectations needs to be followed by a lot of comfort? So this moment of solitude involves a lot of infrastructure. Monica, what do you think is indispensable that supports our safe loneliness in a city? Well, this is a difficult question. I don't know if it would be reasonable to give you a list of things, because we may have a number of elements that need to be provided. For example, you need to find the way easily. Maybe there will be someone or some establishment in the vicinity that would take care of the place, but that's not probably what you asked me about. I think that what could be a solution is this very sensitive ability of spotting places like this Park of Silence, which I am delighted with. I had not known this story. And I think that in this anthropocentric world that we live in, a world that is shaped by humans and by nature, this is a wonderful result and a new typology of public space. Yes, because it is public space available to people, humans and non-humans, that has created itself on the basis of a form of a stadium, almost a wheel, geometrically ideal. And if you really started to dig here, topped with all the meanings, the history of the place, and silence as commemoration and as some kind of escape from the city life, we should just have our own eyes open and look for things that have emerged, and maybe the singing of the birds this is the thing that makes us feel less lonely. Today, sensitivity to different types of lighting in the city, this people are more aware of it, and they know about light pollution that negatively affects plants and animals, and people are aware of it. So there is an opportunity for this park of silence to have proper lighting, for example. When talking about such beautiful establishments like this, like the former stadium, there's some radical voices that say that nothing is required here. If you do have this self-made area that invites us to share it and to commune with nature in the vicinity of a city district that is not very green, then perhaps nothing should be done there. No paths, well, maybe benches, but do not interfere, or interfere as little as you can. So I wonder what you think about it. If everything went the right way, how do you imagine the future interference with this space that would contribute to the wild nature of the area, that will take care of the non-human residents, and also to encourage humans to feel at home, for this space of loneliness to be a space of regeneration and power.
Right. This is something we should be dreaming of. If this is supposed to happen one day, we should start by dreaming, and we should realize that it is important that residents of Poznan should realize that a place that is quieter than elsewhere, it's not going to be perfectly silent, but it's going to be quieter. So they should realize that a quiet place where you can be just with yourself and non-human species that have a soothing effect on us, that this is a great comfort, a great privilege, and a rare privilege, that is. And we should realize this, and we should respect this as something unusually positive that we should cherish and protect. And this is something extraordinary. This is a huge asset, a value, and that we must recognize and appreciate. The place is not a ruin, because some people will look at it that way. This is a so-called third landscape, a wasteland that is still expecting further transformation. In a perfect world, that transformation should have a very specific direction, namely to emphasize the special character of this place. We could highlight the fact that this is a cohabitat for animals, plants, and people, and the time that people could spend there, the daytime, that's a privilege that we would all be entitled to. I'm making this explicit because, as I mentioned, you mentioned light pollution, But I think that this place should be locked during the night to eliminate the need for street lights and any other illumination. So we should secure it with a fence, which is penetrable for animals only, not for humans. Humans could use that place during the day, during daylight. They would be visitors, guests to that place, not exactly as the owners, the rulers of that place. So we should revert the usual logic where parks are for people only. Parks are managed in a way that responds to human needs. Here, we should reverse that logic. In this way, we would probably encourage people to think more about their own sensitivity of people and non-human actors. We would help people realize that there are not only human residents in cities. We would inspire them to think about what exposure to risks means, so that silence would be a venue where we could think about all the others who are exposed. We could think about the weak links with the world, with the non-human world, which starts with simple things like understanding or being able to differentiate tree species or bird species by the way they sing. And I am really sorry that Joanna Jurga is not with us now, because the things we're talking about are very closely reflected in neurosciences, in what advanced research tells us that our brain is capable of. Joanna Jurga investigates the future because she looks at the cosmic reality. So the life of humans who will be exposed to lengthy space travel. That's a series of very interesting and very challenging phenomena that we should be thinking of. So human dreams, for instance. So if we want to think about conquering more planets, then what is the way to do it? What is the associated expense? And what we know about loneliness and solitude. I still keep the faith in the Polish rail, and they will deliver Joanna to us. She's on a train. The train is late. Hopefully, she will join us. I really miss her because she would give us some nice concluding remarks that would reflect on human capabilities and the planned expansion of both states. And before Joanna joins us, let's focus on silence, because silence is a state where people relax, and silence calls for solitude and intimacy. And today, in cities, those who have access to silence, those are privileged. Yes, this usually means living in a better neighborhood, access to better infrastructure. Silence has become luxury. And silence park would distribute silence in a more democratic way, available to anyone. So let's talk about zoning of silence in cities. So downtown areas are very loud, very noisy. No one wants to live there. Only those who can't afford to live elsewhere, they want to move out. I think there are quiet places in downtown areas. If you look at any city, you will find some quiet streets, and the traffic noise is usually the worst evil, and we don't know what to do with it. Because traffic generates this white noise that is somewhere in the background that we sometimes don't even notice. There is another thing that scares me. Like, living in a quiet place is a luxury. You can open your window and you don't get that blow of noise. And I'm afraid that places like the Park of Silence, once they become democratic places for all, with solutions that make you feel safe, I'm afraid that this place will become crowded, will be overused. There is this human tendency to pounce at places that look nice, especially if they are right next door. Then we start to over-explore that space. So perhaps maybe this should be a lockable space. And I came to you from Gdansk today. I lived there, and in my city there is a problem we can't solve for years. I know that for most of you who know Gdansk, this is about the Baltic Sea coast and the green belt around the city. We have those hills around Gdansk, lots of land overgrown by trees, and those trees, the wooded areas penetrate the urban areas. They give us cool in the summer. They give us fresh air. And now there is this talk about civilizing those green areas. People want to build cycling paths there or street lights. And that's not a good idea. Let's keep those places wild. Let's just enjoy the pure nature and wildlife. Perhaps there are too many wild boars, but we shouldn't use those spaces. We should enjoy the luxury of having lots of green spaces around us. So it's completely different from Poznan. But we should have that rule of keeping those areas to themselves. And frankly speaking, I think such limitations like locking parks for the night, this is still a common practice that prevents vandalism. Maybe we should do that, but maybe this will make the silence park too similar to spaces such as zoos or botanical gardens. Okay, do we have any questions from the floor? Oh, Joanna's here. Very well. Please come join us because we need you. We have discussed many issues that are surely interesting for you. So please sit down and grab a microphone. Yes, good afternoon. Just under 4 hours of delay. That's Polish rail for you. So, difference between loneliness and solitude. Well, solitude is something you choose, and I think more and more of us choose to live in solitude and loneliness, or being left alone, is a situation where you have no one to talk to, no one to ask for help, no one to be in a relationship with. It's a state where you don't have a bench to sit down and talk to someone. It's a state where the lift takes you from your apartment to your car park and does not allow you to talk to anyone. It's a state where you live in anti-social space. You have no one to ask for directions. Right, and we spoke about weak links, and from your perspective, what would weak links mean to you? How could those weak links be reinforced in the public space without being obtrusive? I think you can build links even when they are weak in places where you can meet other people, where you don't have to sit on a bench where you're scorched in summer, or where your ass freezes off in winter. I think you can create links when you have local suppliers, when you have a greengrocer that you know well, and if he doesn't appear in your local market, then you inquire about what happened to him.
Okay, catch your breath. I'll look around if there's any questions from the audience. Maybe an online question. If not, yes? Yeah, you've got a question, because that was a very shy hand raised. This is more of a comment than a question. When it comes to well, my first opinion will not be about urban space. In mid-August, I went to Berlin to attend an event, and I was very surprised to see how the residents of Berlin spend their free time, and something that I haven't seen in Polish cities. Or I haven't seen such parks in Polish cities. A friend of mine said that maybe it's because you can drink alcohol in the open. People bring their blankets, they bring beer, they come with friends. There's many people around them. All the parks are crowded in the summertime. There is space, and I do not see it that much in Poland. Okay. Would you like to comment on this opinion? I think we all have seen people in parks. We are nodding, but I have two opinions. First, our lawns are very dirty, and because in Poland enjoys one of the biggest numbers of pets, but not all dog owners clean after their dogs. And in some places, like the Łazienki Park in central Warsaw, you cannot sit on the lawn there. But if you are from Poznan, why don't you come to the Citadel Park in Poznan? You will see people sitting on blankets. Polish people love sitting next to water, and boulevards being rebuilt now in Poland are meant for people to sit down and just enjoy, including Warsaw, Toruń, Poznań. In Poznań, there are also public spaces where you can drink alcohol. In a moment, we will talk about where you can do things, cannot do things, and my final question is. Which is the final question because of time constraints. The weak ties and development thereof. This is definitely about the future, and the future that we need to take care of. And owing to projects like the Park of Silence, we may respond to the needs of city residents and to solve the problems that are very easily identifiable right now. We know what if you could tell us what we miss in Polish cities. We're so happy to have you here, despite all the problems with the train. But people are looking for places where they can regenerate, where they can restore their strength, and where they can start a conversation about how lovely it was to be lonely. We are not looking we do not want to be hermits. We want human contact. When I was sitting on that train, I edited an interview about this Park of Silence. I think it's one of the most interesting initiatives in the city, and many of us will die a decade early just because of city noise. And what we need to do is to slow down, to decrease noise, and we will start to hear each other, hopefully. And if I may ask for something, this is asking for silence. And you know that autistic people are very sensitive to noise, and so that would be the first thing that I would think of. And secondly, that's green space and turning all places available into green space, and because green space is much cooler, 6 degrees cooler. So my favorite areas are silence and greenery. I am very happy to have you here, and I thank you very much for taking part in this discussion. We have keeping our fingers crossed for the Park of Silence. Monika, thank you very much for all the points of reference to harsh reality. May I add something? Sure. Because we've been talking about the city and public space, but when you look around and you go back to the beginning of the year, you can use these places only for several months. But when we talk to local authorities in Poland, they tend to be quite understanding about the so-called inner public spaces where no money needs to be spent. Sometimes this role is taken over by libraries, which, as you know, have been changing quite dramatically lately. Even if you do not want to read, you can go to a library and do something. There have been some local initiatives, and so these are some community centers, some roofed agoras. Of course, it's going to be hot in the summer, but these are places where you can come, spend your time, look at people. These are open spaces. You can just do nothing or interact with other humans. And many more local authorities are aware of it, and aware of the fact that being together leads to interesting things. All this sums up into some prophylaxis of mental health, something that is attuned to our wellness, and we do not want our cities to be beautifully arranged, but we want the cities to give us a sense of safety, of health safety. And this is also a good introduction to the next discussion that will follow up, where examples of artistic events will be provided, something that is very close to me, because I would like also to recommend to you a report freshly published about new forms of comfort and initiatives launched by 5 cultural institutions in Poland, which all go down to creating strong, weak ties. Thank you very much for this conversation, and I encourage you to continue the discussion elsewhere.
So Hey. No, no, you don't have time to claim that you still wanna me.
Development Forum dedicated to solitude and loneliness in the city. And the second debate is entitled Art as a Game Changer for Societal Challenges, and it will be attended by Maciej Kurak, John Peter Nilsson, Joanna Rajkowska, and it will be moderated by Mateusz Bieczyński, who will tell you more about our guests and on the idea for the debate. Come over here, and the debate will be interpreted into the sign language and into English, and our audiences, online audiences, can ask questions on Facebook. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to welcome all the audience here in the room and our online digital audience to the panel Art as a Game Changer for Societal Challenges. And I think it would be good to tell you about the intent behind the meeting. As part of the City Development Forum, it is difficult to talk about places of culture and art because oftentimes these areas are left to their own devices, not discussed, whereas culture and art take place, and contemporary art in the context of the city and social space has long since showed its potential for narration of very difficult societal problems, and art in the space makes a promise of some change to happen, and the audiences are often confronted with either invited or provoked to take a stance. In contemporary sociological literature, it is said that art can be a tool for making people more sensitive to societal problems. And the word tool is kind of dangerous because art is not a part of social engineering. It needs to be an open, free experiment, and this space needs to be created for art. And this is definitely the task to be handled for representatives of city authorities who authorities of cities which remain open. And I have a pleasure to have three guests. Joanna Rajkowska, a visual artist who I think has made a name for herself for many spectacular projects in public space, and she's experienced in creating socially engaging situations. We also have Maciej Kurak, now rector of the University of Arts in Poznan, and he has been active in the field of arts, not only in Poznan. And we also have John Peter Nilsson, who is a man of many talents, an art curator, and who has been related to the Modern Museum in Stockholm, and he is now in charge of this important institution's communication policy. I am very happy to have them here, and just like during the first panel, we have decided that the discussion should be preceded by presentations, and it is my pleasure to ask to the stage Joanna Rajkowska. Since we are talking about art in public space in the context of city development, urban development, and urban life, I have decided to show you something that is a very old project, which is probably now undergoing a most revolutionary change. And the title of the project was Greetings from Aleje Jerozolimskie, one of the major streets in central Warsaw. And this taught me to understand what public space is, what is art in public space. And I would like to, this is a long story, but I would like to show you briefly about the project, how it started, and how how it has been operating since still today. You can't see with this slide. You cannot see this a palm tree, an artificial palm tree at Aleje Jerozolimskie Street. And so this is the central artery alley in Warsaw, which is the east-west axis of Warsaw, symbolically and literally. It is a project from 2001 and 2002 during the Second Intifada, during the Palestine uprising. I was there then in Palestine, and I had an opportunity to see this a huge wave of violence. As we know, Israel is doomed to constant war, and war has become a state of mind in the country. This is an Orthodox Jewish district of Jerusalem, where I spent most of my time there. So it is very close to me, this district, and because it looks like a pre-Second World War Jewish cities in villages in Poland, but it's also some kind of an island in Israel. When I came back to Poland in 2001, you look at this empty street, the emptiness or some vacuum that sucks you in and demands something. And this is when I understood that after the Holocaust, Poland is just a half of its former self. That was my first dream of planting palm trees in Aleje Jerozolimskie. Well, not real palm trees for obvious reasons, but palm trees that are so characteristic of Israel and that part of the world. This is the Warsaw Ghetto as photographed by an American photographer. This is how I understood this palm tree, how I saw it, a sign of life that comes from ruins. And that is not a frozen symbol, not a monument. It's a tree that keeps reproducing, that keeps being alive in many variants. This is exactly the crossing between Aleje Jerozolimskie and Nowy Świat streets. The photo was taken in 1946, and this is what this crossing looks now. And so the scale is not that of a lane; it's the scale of a whole city. And the small piece inside a roundabout. This is the symbolic beginning that leads to my mental end of some memory of an 18th century village, Jewish village that gave the name to the street, because it says Jerusalem Gates, Jerusalem Alley. As you can see, that was a street that led out of the city. And so this is the number of permits that we had to collect. It was a guerrilla project because no institution wanted to cooperate with us. They thought it was a joke, but we managed to collect enough money to send our American friend, our architect friend, to the U.S., where the stem was produced. It was so long that it came out of it was not short enough to be enclosed in a hanger. And after 5 months, we had this trunk in Warsaw, but it was minus 22 degrees, very, very cold, so nothing would grow on that heap of soil. In 2002, one person could not bear all those challenges. You know, the leaves were too short, but once the palm tree was raised there, the street changed its nature. The city changed. The first response was this is not. It was about a change in tradition from a place where traditionally a Christmas tree was placed. It was replaced by a palm tree, the sign of whatever tradition, maybe not even any tradition, not a sign. And here you can see the media coverage from different countries, from the Süddeutsche Zeitung or Los Angeles Times, where the journalists could not really understand the phenomena of placing the tree. A tree grows on Warsaw from Los Angeles Times. It was really difficult to talk about it because I did not have the language to speak about it, and I didn't really know how it would operate. And it operated in many different ways, and increasingly often, when the public responded, we found out that the palm tree was a stage where people would play their own plays, spectacles, and where the city would live for 24 hours a day. And any performance, anything that happened there, added and changed to the number of meanings. You can see these pictures taken in 2002. This Polish society was very different from what we know now. This was a spontaneous action. I didn't know the authors, and very importantly, the first comment, the first framework started to get obsolete. So different meanings and different values and different stories accompanied the palm tree. Very quickly, we ran out of money. The palm tree was the product was really cheap, so I took off the leaves. We had a banner. The city authorities would take it down. We started our fight against the city authorities, and so spontaneous response was that any community, the LGBT and people related to people suffering from AIDS, and they came to protest and to wish all the best to the palm tree. You could see people would undress. It was really cold back then, and that was the first banner of the green movement in Poland. The palm waged a war against the then regime of the Kaczyński brothers. One, Lech Kaczyński, was mayor of Warsaw, and he hated the palm. And so you can see two ducks cutting down the palm tree. One of the ducks is saying, because ducks are an allusion to the Kaczyński brothers, because their name is derived from kaczka, which means a duck. We had a very successful spontaneous campaign back then, and very shortly that the palm tree does not exist without the street. It's not an art object in itself. There's millions of palm trees in roundabouts all over the world, but the palm tree can exist only because of the city, of what the city has been. And you can see regular daily life in Warsaw. People take pictures from trams, and there's some daily performances. People dance salsa. I love this dance. This lady is sort of embracing someone who is probably dear to her. People also apologize for some private dramas. There's Greenpeace projects taking place. Well, these are all times from back 2011. Artistic performances. The palm tree is an open stage. I never control it. People place bananas on it. And nurses, back in 2007, when we were repairing the palm tree, there was a huge nurses' strikes in Warsaw, and as a and in reply to this strike, we put a banner, we put a nurse's cap on the palm tree, and 4 years later, women of different nationalities also placed some kufiyas on the top of the trees. I wasn't even there in Poland. I knew about it, but sometimes I find out about these things post factum. Tu B'Shvat, Jewish celebration of the trees. People the children would produce amulets, and we put them on the palm tree trunk. That was one of the most beautiful projects. And in 2012, when we had the European Football Championships, we placed a banner back then, and I could see it would manage the project from a hospital. And the banner said "Bread, not games." This is a very important, and that was the response of the city. 2014.
Nie muszę komentować.
No comment.
Organizacja Narodów Zjednoczonych.
And the UN in 2019 asked
jakiegoś rodzaju wydarzenia
for some kind of an event for the Earth Day, and we came up with an idea together with the Museum for Contemporary Art that we would put this tree to death, and because the leaves had died. And someone said, I didn't realize that it was a live tree. So this is one of the most absurd stories.
And this was really striking. Even to me, the mother of the tree, I just couldn't believe it.
Wtedy były potworne upały. W ciągu 2
And the heat was unbearable, and it took 2 or 3 weeks for the tree and this island around it to grow dry. So if you want to remember the palm, then remember it this way. This is the most beautiful picture of the dead palm. And this has become the symbol of climate catastrophe. And women's strikes, so the struggle for women's rights and liberties, girls dancing around the tree.
Tutaj Antifa
załatwiła
anti-fascist demonstration. I'm really proud of that picture. And our last project, Robert Sneidelman, a close friend of mine, and me, after October last year. Robert is an American, so we have 2 banners in Polish and in English. Do not uproot. We are anti-Semites. I think that if we had a Jewish community still here, this country, Poland, would be a better place. And that's it. Thank you. And now, let me give the floor to another participant of this debate, Maciej Kurak. Maciej will tell us about his experience in public space projects. Maciej, over to you. Good afternoon. I have just a few projects I would like to share with you. Projects I have authored, some of them in Poznań, actually. I've done quite a lot of projects in Poznań here. All of them, or most of them, were financed by myself. So my approach is somewhat different. when it comes to the functional aspects of art, because as I was thinking about how art is produced and how art functions, and how certain production approaches are fueled. Well, most of them are based on consumer culture. So this is what inspired me to finance my own projects myself. So I had to work some overtime. Sometimes those projects were really expensive, but I never regretted this because someone once asked me who I do it for. Actually, I've done these projects for a group of friends I have here. That's a rather large group of people inspired by techno music, actually. We used to meet when techno music first emerged. We started attending techno parties, and I proposed that we could spend the time in a different way. We could start thinking about what was going on in Poland starting in 1989. Sweet Harmony, the first slide. This was a project involved an apartment in a downtown building, and I did an apartment inside an apartment. It was all about creating an intimate situation where we could be all together, and this was an unusual place. Lots of people would come there. It was a crowded place. We frequently met, and we had to coexist somehow. And this coexistence was important to this group of ours. I was a co-founder and co-author of that community. And actually the movement spread elsewhere. So it started in a private apartment. We didn't do any advertising or something or publicity, but it still attracted lots of people. It was a major investment because I built an apartment within an apartment. It was perfectly white, as you can see here. So this outer apartment was a reflection of the walls of the original apartment, and so in the inner apartment we had a crystalline, pristine white space. And another slide. This is another project that I wanted to show to you. It was installed in Ujazdowski Castle in Warsaw. And in addition to this spectacular effect, again, financed by myself, I built a situation where the ladies who took care of those spaces could finally spend time together, because all those spaces were now better related to each other. So the place was rebuilt, and those ladies could coexist with one another. Another slide, please. Here you can see the project. It was quite time-consuming, and it required a lot of skills and talents, skills in planning and construction. Producing all these items was quite a challenge, because I wanted this these things to look attractive. All these projects are temporary. I don't want them to persist, to be permanent. I want them to work for a while, and then they should disappear. So they just highlight something, they just draw your attention to something, but they do not impose anything on anyone. So we created a space for those ladies to be together, but we didn't force them to. We just gave them a choice.
To kolejny slajd, poproszę.
Another slide, please.
To jest praca, która powstała w Zielonej Górze w przestrzeni miasta.
Another project in a town of Zielona Góra in western Poland. That's in a downtown area near a crosswalk frequently attended by students.
Polegało to na tym, że
So
takie dwa
in the springtime, I created two collapsible houses, and it was not about creating something attractive. It was about creating a space where people can coexist. I don't have any pictures here, but in the springtime, those spaces that I created, they attracted people who met there, who had parties there. So they would actually sit on the roof covered with tar paper, and there was a very nice and warm surface in the springtime. And the very process of production, financed by myself, obviously,
ta grupa, która to realizowała,
and the group of co-authors was picked by myself. So the process of production was an experience in itself, which was quite important. So we didn't do anything to a pre-designed or pre-planned scenario. No, we just did things together, and it kept evolving. I was also involved in that production.
Razem z tą grupą osób
So
po prostu robiliśmy te rzeczy, ale
we did these things together. We made these things together,
no i współdziałaliśmy.
and we collaborated,
Właściwie zawierało się w tych realizacjach.
which was an intrinsic part of the project as well. Another slide, please.
To jeszcze kolejny slajd.
And one more.
A to jest realizacja, którą robiłem w Warszawie, która polegała na tym, że
That's a project from Warsaw.
przystanek jeżdżący,
I
który
did
podjeżdżał przystanki, zabierał ludzi do domu.
traveling bus stop that would
Też nie chodziło o to,
approach a real bus stop and take people from there to their home.
że
Uh,
w trakcie
The
jeżdżenia
most beautiful thing of this, the most beautiful thing about this project was that people started to speak to each other in a different language. So this unusual thing, something out of the ordinary, spontaneously inspired dialogue, communication. The reactions were very, very different. Some people were delighted. They felt blessed to live in a city where a bus stop takes you home. But those conversations between them, that was the gist, the essence of the project. Now, the next one, please. I think this is a video.
Będę trzymał.
Jakość tego filmu jest może taka sobie.
The quality of the video is arguable, but it gives you an idea.
Łączyło się z tym, że nie dysponowałem lepszym materiałem do zanotowania tej całej sytuacji.
I didn't have advanced equipment to record it, so let's move on.
To jest realizacja, która
This
powstała
is a project in the synagogue in Poznań.
w Poznaniu,
That's
nadal
a weird place in Poland that
straszną historię.
still exists, but it has a terrible history
Niemcy
related to the Holocaust.
synagogi zrobili sobie pływalnię.
Germans actually converted a synagogue to a swimming pool.
Miejsce wielu artystów się odnosiło.
That's a very sad place. Many artists commented on it, made references to it. I
Nie były regularne.
changed the stairs
Miał zupełnie inną
in the synagogue with every step to have a different height,
Tu też bardzo
making it difficult to enter the synagogue.
potencjał.
Another project, not very spectacular, but with a hidden social potential. I wanted to make a miniature.
Cały problem
I made that miniature, but the problem was that the essence was that it was for a homeless person who lived there with their dog. That was in the Warsaw district of Ursynów.
zespołem, podobnie jak
There was a whole team, a project team behind it.
blog powstawał z grupą osób zaprzyjaźnionych.
We did this project with a group of friends.
I też już go nie ma. Oczywiście.
And again, this was a temporary project, now gone.
Nie wiem, czy tam jeszcze jest jakiś slajd?
Are there more slides?
Wnętrza właśnie. O,
So that's the interior of the place where this homeless person lived.
no miały właściwie takie podwójne znaczenie. Z tym
And this project had a double meaning.
konkretów, sytuacji
Certain
konkretnej osoby dedykowana.
situations, certain problems, problem that was solved,
Ten potencjał symboliczny,
problem
który gdzieś tam
affecting a specific person. That's one meaning. Another meaning, the symbolical layer.
było śmieszniej. Jest to straszny projekt.
Now
Ciężki.
I work as
Ja bym
a
chciał
lecturer.
artystyczny.
This is a very difficult, challenging project. I want to convert it to an artistic project. I want to redefine the university where I am the lecturer. I want to find a certain force behind a social sculpture, a reference to voice,
Który jest taki
and I want to
energetyczny,
inspire a new way of thinking
wykorzystujący
of a university that uses its locality and is dedicated to certain projects that
ale w konkretnym
socializes the society in a specific place.
problemy, które są
It is
właśnie
an opening up to local problems affecting a place like Poznan, a provincial city, with its own problems that should not be forgotten. On the one hand. On the other hand, we want to
proste,
inspire collaboration of authors, which is never
tylko dlatego podjąłem
easy. But this is the only reason why I took up that challenge, is to see if it's gonna work. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we start the conversation, I would like to ask our third speaker, John Peter Nilsson, who I hope will tell us about the many years of his experience in activating the audiences of a museum and many cultural projects.
This mic, if it's okay. So, thank you very much, Matteos. Thank you for inviting me. It's like, and I must say, I'm very impressed of the two artists' presentations. It's like really, really, really interesting. What I'm going to talk about is the museum world. Museums today are a quite interesting area. There are lots of things happening in the way of reaching out to an audience, to new audiences, because of a changing view on what the society is. So I will start to talk a little bit about art and museums in general, how I see it, and then I will do a little bit of a case study when I was the director of Moderna Museet in Malmö, where I tried to activate certain ideas. But see if I can manage this. First image, Glenn Lowry, soon to become ex-director of MoMA in New York. He said that one of the most challenges a museum has today is the new generation that is born with a smartphone in the hand. You have everything in your hand, and you come to a museum. And there you see Malevich or Mondrian, or nothing moves, and you have to stand there and be interested or think and etc. So this is, I think it's something that we have to be aware of for the future. It's like, how are we perceiving the world around us when such a thing as a smartphone in your hand has completely changed what knowledge is, what how you feel, etc., etc. And but this is not new in museum history. This is an example from Moderna Museet in Stockholm in the mid-60s, where the Danish artist Palle Nielsen built a huge plaything for children, where they could jump around and have fun. And that was a way, in the 60s especially, a way of reaching out to the new generation. It's like to participate, to be there physically and feel and be active. Another example is like Nicolas Sanfal and Jean Tinguely and Per-Ulf Ultvedt, and also from Moderna Museet, where they built a cathedral. The cathedral was, I think, very important, because what they were acting against was this old idea of the museum as a sort of sanctuary, as a cathedral, where you come and worship art. Here you see, you come and worship a human big mother, and you walk in there through her legs. It's like a very radical image and performance. And talking about the museum as we have this old picture of the museum as something up there on a hill, and there is the truth. There is, things that we should worship. Also, this idea has changed dramatically. I mean, this is an image from Tate Modern in London, where they have the Turbine Hall and they invite artists to do huge installations, and the audience can basically just walk in and meet the art directly. It's like another example on how museums are trying to find new audiences, to take down the barriers and try to interact with an audience. I have some other examples on maybe a little bit more extreme. The famous art museum director Jan Hoot that started the museum SMAC in Ghent in Belgium. And he did it by doing a boxing match where he challenged an artist to do a boxing game in the museum. Why? Because of trying to create some kind of a spectacle. It's like And Jan Hort also did the very famous show Chambre d'Amis in Ghent, where he invited artists to show the art in private homes in Ghent. Another way of radically trying to maybe not demolish the walls, but to make art come a little bit closer to us. And I couldn't help myself to find this image that IKEA actually made a rip-off on the thing where they did invited not so interesting artists to be shown in different milieus that IKEA had in the catalog. And also this example is like from Francis Alus, where he made a performance called the Modern Procession, where he took works from MoMA in New York and they walked through Manhattan to Piece 1 in Queens when MoMA was going to be renovated. Also an example how, you know, art can come a little bit closer outside the height or the sanctuary of the museum. Another question that is in the museums today is that, in general, who do we meet when you come to a museum? Do we have a diversity audience? Is this what we see in the museums today? No, not really. We see this. We have almost a white middle-class audience coming to the museums today. And this is not reflecting how the society looks like. In the incredible change in demography that happened during since the Second World War. It's like, and this is something that every museum around is dealing with. You can take some examples. It's like Brooklyn Museum. They host the First Saturdays, where they really trying to reach out to different groups in society. And here are some other examples. It's like how in LACMA in Los Angeles, they have a local group that is trying to communicate with the people working in the museum to integrate and diverse the audience. And some other examples, Tate Exchange, and even Museo del Prado in Madrid is starting to examine Spain's multicultural history. It's like this is going on quite in, I would say, every major museum in the world today. Another example is this one from Eindhoven in Holland, where the Van Abbe Museum is in a very intellectual way trying to deconstruct the whole history of art and also the history of how we have been collecting art and how we are sort of showing art and present it. And also in Moderna Museet, that I actually worked with this project, we did a 2006 the second Museum of Our Wishes. The first Museum of Our Wishes was Pontus Hultén in the 1965, where he asked the government, oh, we've been having the museum now for 5 years. Can you give us 5 million Swedish kronors? And he got it to buy art that was the Museum of Our Wishes. And 50 years later, this 5 million became 50 million. And the former director at that time asked the government, can you give us 50 million? No, we can get 5. It's like, but we fundraised the money. And we bought 26 works of 14 female artists that we put in and really started not only with this work, but it started in the museum to really think about the gender problems that the art history. When I was a student and I had the Jansson's The Art as the major book with 400 pages from the cave paintings to Andy Warhol, there was one female artist, 1978. And I mean, I was 19 years old, and it's like, oh, there's no female artist in art history. But how much hasn't it changed since then? It's like, and it was, by the way, Georgia O'Keeffe was the only female artist in the art history. So, I mean, this is started, and you see other museum is like also trying to, in the collection, buy art that is reflecting something that is reflecting the society today. It's like, and lots of different examples, as you can see. As I said, it's like I was director in Moderna Museet in Malmö between 2012 and 2016. I have 5 minutes to go, says Matteus. And this is the museum, and we tried to open up the museum by, we had something called the Action Painting Baby Splash, where we open up some gallery spaces with white walls and let the kids come in and just paint with colors that you could eat. And we had graffiti artists when we were renovating. And I called it a new museum in a new city. A new museum in the sense that we were a museum without a permanent collection. We were part of the Moderna Museet in Stockholm, so we showed parts of their collection in Malmö, but we never had our own collection. And also Malmö, from being a working class city, lots of industries, changed completely during the 90s. And lots of migrants coming, and a very young population. 47% is under 35 years old. And Arabic is Malmö's second largest language. So, of course, I had to face this in one way or another if I would be able to communicate with my audience. So what I did quickly, changed the name of the street from Gasverksgatan to Ola Billgrens Plats. And Ola Billgren was a local, very, very well-respected artist from Malmö. I started a collaboration with the local football team, Malmö FF, and I did it because it's like I was curious about how the youth leaders could deal with this multicultural city. So I brought the pedagogues from the museum, and we had workshops with the youth leaders from the football club, and it was a fantastic meeting. It's like we learned so incredible much, and that led to further that we had a small exhibition with Malmö FF's history, because their club history is also very linked to culture. It's like when they were formally out playing, they went to museums and cathedrals because the chairman was thinking that football sport is a part of the cultural life. And we participated in Give Racism a Red Card, where we redid parts of the stadium, and there were kids that were doing images on this theme, Give Racism a Red Card, and we then gave them a prize that they were handed out in the museum. And also we started to have wall text and folder text in 3 languages, Swedish, English, and Arabic. It's like just to to make in a way, of course, we wanted to have more Arabic-speaking visitors to the museum, but most of all, this was a symbolic thing directed towards our traditional visitors that came. White middle class that said that the world is bigger than only Swedish and English. One night I invited a hip club, and they created a nightclub in the main exhibition space, and also, as you know, to try to reach out to this young generation in Malmö. And also, Malmö took many migrants during the crisis in 2014 and 15, and we started to collaborate with a organization called SAY that started to do workshops with the migrants and not only giving them food or money, but let them to be creative and express themselves. So this led to, we had like 15 migrants doing an exhibition in our space. It's from their experiences. And their experience was that they had a dream coming to Europe, but they became wounded when they saw that it wasn't that paradise that was presented to them back from they came. And another example, we closed the museum for 2 hours. There was a demonstration, and because of racist violence in Malmö, so we just decided to close the museum, and all of our staff went out to participate in this demonstration. And also to last, it's like I tried to look at the local artists that was a little bit forgotten, you know, like that was very good artists that somehow was not in focus. So I had a program to give them a new place, a new visibility in the museum. And of course, it's like, this was a very naive dream. It's like, I hope we can discuss this later. It's like, did this lead to anything? It's like, did that lead to this? It's like everything became happy and everybody came there. And I want to end my presentation with this question. It's like, what did this actually lead to? Thank you.
Please, let's stay. Zapraszam wszystkich uczestników.
Okay, now I would like to invite all the speakers in this session. Please, let's sit together. We still have a few minutes to share some thoughts and comments. On occasions like this, there's never enough time. So perhaps it's not a bad idea to ask a question about something that combines all of you. So that's the charisma of an individual that is transformed into something bigger. So this force that is born somewhere down there, and then it grows up to infect others with this courage and boldness in asking extraordinary questions. This is the shared point, the shared quality of all of your presentations. So I have one question for all of you. Let's start with Joanna. Joanna, your project was your first public space project, and it was 2 decades ago. More recently, in 2013, that was your most recent project. And what has happened over the years? And from your experience, which is unique in the scale of a city, so
dobrych praktykach w
So what
zakresie
could
tej
you tell us
pracy
about
z
good
przestrzenią
practice?
i co
What
ewentualnie
is a
byłyby
good
takie
practice in
postulaty
terms of
wymiany?
working in
Ja wiem, że
public
to jest trudne
space?
pytanie i wiem, że ono
And
być
what
może nie da się zamknąć
what
w
would
paru
you
zdaniach, ale
like
jak sobie
to
popatrzę na ten
change? Is
kontekst,
there anything that
na to,
should
o czym
change?
rozmawiamy, i stwierdziłem, że spróbuję.
I know it's not an easy question.
Czy ja nie jestem taką partyzantką, jak to
Well,
brzmiało
I'm not that
podczas,
much of a guerrilla artist as
jednak podstawą
you could think by looking at my presentation. So when it comes to good practice, this is a question to city authorities, I think.
podmiotami, tak?
Uh,
Z jednej strony między
So we have three
samorządami,
stakeholders,
instytucjami artystycznymi,
local governments, artistic institutions, and artists. So those three stakeholders should cooperate. That's the very foundation.
instytucji artystycznej,
But then
co się dzieje w mieście.
you shouldn't confuse what's going on in the city with what's going on in an artistic institution, because these are different things. In a symbolical institution such as museum, more things are possible. And then you step out of the symbolic space and you enter the real life. And unfortunately, it will stay like that. And the real life will always be there. It will always be more potent. It has more capital that crushes artists. And even if it doesn't crush us in museums, it will crush us when we step out of the museum. So there is an illusion of happiness that accompanies us when we enter a museum, and when we leave it, that illusion dies immediately on the threshold of a museum. And this is really bad, and we don't know how to manage it. And the role of institutions in supporting projects that are completely spontaneous, grassroots, bottom up. This is very important. Maciek, you pay for your own projects. I paid for my project, a few of them. I know what you're talking about this. This is painful. This is bad. It shouldn't be like this. There are public funds earmarked for arts, and we should spend that money on the most valuable artistic experiments that generate valuable knowledge of what's going on in the society. And I am full of resentment and full of pain, and I have unfulfilled dreams about artistic institutions stepping out of their church, so to speak, where people only care about their image, about ticking all the boxes in such as diversity. You know what those boxes say. And I dream of an institution that would risk losing its image, losing its face, that would risk supporting an artist that may be difficult to work with. I think these are valuable experiments. When I built a minaret in Poznan in 2008, that project failed because local artistic institutions were scared of that project. And the only project that worked, a project like this that worked, was the oxygen booster project in Warsaw, 2007. So if artistic institutions are courageous to build an artist who thinks out of the box, this is very important. And then we have the cities who manage a public space. You have like urban green areas authority or urban roads authority. They are a pain in the ass, so to speak, and they are difficult to work with. I was never given the privilege to speak directly to a mayor because city officers are always afraid. They are afraid to lose their status, to lose the next elections, and they do not support bold, courageous projects because they are afraid. And if they are afraid, it means they are useless.
Pierwszy postulat pewnego ryzyka i
Okay, that's an appeal for more risk, more courage. Yes, fingers crossed for that. We do work with local governments and we want that cooperation to be lasting. Now, a question to John. Moderne Mozet, well, its constitution is based on a crazy idea of one person.
Ona stała się oczywiście dzisiaj pewnym brandem o zasięgu międzynarodowym.
Today, this is an international brand, but it's also founded on determination of an individual, right?
First of all, John, I agree with you. I mean, it's like there is a border between the institution and what's going on outside the institution. Definitely, it's like, and in a way, I mean, it's we have. I think that today, most of the museums have difficulties to compete with the international art market. It's so strong that it's eating up, art and artists, and prices goes up, and we and also, secondly, it's like this has led to a situation where mass media is sort of seeking the spotlight on where the money is and where the action is. It's like, so I think it's partly. I mean, the institutions are afraid. I mean, it's like we have responsibilities. I must say that I'm not afraid of being political correct. It's like I am political correct. It's like but there are pressures from today. I mean, from my point of view, from those people that give us the money have a very populist approach. It's like they want more visitors, but who the visitors are, they don't give a shit. It's like I mean that is, and this is something that I work now as a museum strategist at the museum that I deal with quite a lot. It's like, how can we count quality? I mean, you say, I mean, both of your projects are fantastic. I mean, it's like, but they couldn't be done within an institution. You have to agree that. I mean, it's part of the game, like. But of course, it's an institution should be able to support it. But I am very, very. If I can answer my own question I asked before, it's like I'm very pessimist about where we are going right now. It's like it's the sport. How we can see in the schools, it's like there is very little education about theater, music, and art. It's like, and we have difficulties to get the children to come to the museum because, I mean, the teachers are so worked out to take the children from a suburb in Stockholm into the city and back again. I mean, it's a hell of a job if they're 14-year-olds and they are 30 person. It's like, and then we go to the local authorities, say, oh, we can reach out, we can buy us a bus, and we go out and get them to the museum. It's like, no, it costs money. It's like, so it's the problem is it's a structural problem in society today that even if we want to, I mean, both of you are, as I see it, very interesting situationist artists that are acting within the public and do the détournement and manipulate the regular seeing of the city and our own lives, etc., etc. But the city, for you, are your palette, and it's not the museum. It's like, but then you have like for example, in Britain, Art Angel as an organization tried to, support this. Creative Time in New York tried to do it. It's like, but I don't know. It's like you probably know better. It's like how well they have been succeeding in doing that. Otherwise, it becomes the rich collectors that gives you the money, and then you go to Hydra and you make a sculpture at the Dakis Ioannis little chalet there. It's like, so I was very uplifting from both of you, both of your projects. It's like, it's great.
Zostawiłem Macieja na koniec, bo pomyślałem,
Okay,
że
I left Maciej for the end because I thought that the perspective you gave us, the perspective of institutionalizing a bottom-up artist,
który jest
because you tackled a project that is somehow embedded in this institutionalized art, and you just can't escape it. So what do you think? What are the prospects
tymi ograniczeniami
for development of an institution that has to face all these obstacles? And art is a powerful stimulus, and it's something that transcends all parametrized forms of communication, so it's special.
Trudno się z tym nie zgodzić.
Yes, I fully agree with that. And coming back to that project of mine, well, the first lecture I gave in Anthropia Gallery was about anti-institutionalism. I showed how institution can destroy things and the values that we attribute to art as a discourse, and socializing the society and development. So some in-depth changes rather than surface changes. Because in our discussion we sometimes tend to focus on the decorative aspects of art. So we're only on the surface. It's about talking about doing rather than doing. And I think this is a perfect illustration of this mechanism that works behind arts globally. And it's difficult to break through it, which is a sign of these times. This has always made me attracted to this guerrilla project. And Joanna says that it's unusual for artists to finance their own projects and that this is bad. But on the other hand, this gave me a lot of freedom. I didn't have to explain anything to anyone. In the 90s, when you were an artist, you had to explain to the general public what your projects were about. And I had to tell people that my art is like advertising, because only then they could understand it. So this was rather tedious, and I didn't want to do that. And I think that art is a perfect platform for opening up social capabilities and talents, and
do końca zmieniać, to przynajmniej
it gives you a belief that even if art will not change the world, it may at least be a stimulus to a change. It's somewhere in the background, behind social or economic changes, but art can adapt culture and can take advantage of social and economic change.
teraz tą nowym
And
miałem dużo
now, before this most recent project of mine, I felt a lot of internal resistance before entering an institutionalized setting. But still, I treat it as an art project. So I want to create a place that will function in a different way. And if I manage to do that, then I will be happy, even if it's going to take more time, even if it happens after I am no longer in the project, then I will be happy to have triggered a process.
To brzmi...
Thank you. It sounds great. Fingers crossed.
Mocno trzymamy kciuki.
Really, fingers crossed for that.
Na dyskusję.
I think we still have a few moments to talk to the audience. Do we have any questions from you? Any questions to our panel discussion members?
Przyjusz.
There is a question.
Dzień dobry, cześć. Kamila Kobierzyńska.
Good afternoon and hi. My name is Kamila Kobierzyńska and I have a question to all three of you.
Bo myśląc o tym, że twórcy robią sztukę dla młodszych pokoleń, muzeum mają
When
być
you
tylko i wyłącznie
say
dla
that
osób super
artists
przygotowanych
make art for younger people and museums have to cater for everyone, not only for those who know everything about arts, then how do you choose your directions, the directions of what you do, whether as an institution or as a guerrilla artist? Joanna, you are an artist who provokes certain social situations that go against the tide. Maciej, you, as a person who is now in charge of determining the direction that will be followed by the next generation of artists. And also, it's a question about language, the language you speak. What direction will be important for the next generation?
To myślę, że znaczy ja nie wierzę w to na przykład, że do młodego pokolenia należy mówić
I don't believe that you should speak a digital language to the young generation.
Będzie fala zwrotna.
I think there will be a reverse tide now, and young people will shift towards the primary senses. And I'm not finding an excuse for my project, but I really feel that young people have this desperate need to touch things, to listen to things, to hug, embrace things, to get dissolved in this way or another. Those kids, if we do not give them an opportunity to directly, somatically experience things, if we create some risks for them, some danger even, something that kicks them out of their comfort zone, then we will lose them. This will be a lost generation. If we keep talking about well-being, avoiding risks, staying in your comfort zone, this is one of the greatest threats, not to us, but to them. And we have to start doing this before the tide shifts and before the...
I think it's a very good question. It's like in my thinking for a time, it's like I've been very influenced by Zygmunt Bauman and his thinking about we're living in a liquid modernity. Everything is liquid, you know. There is nothing that you hold. Politics change, you know, like everything's changing. Everything is in flux, you know. It's in a movement all the time. It's like, and I think that art can hold for a moment. In the best cases, for a long time, you know, in your mind. It can hold this movement and stop the time and stop us to think, you know, like. So this is why I believe in art, even though I'm a little bit disbelieving in the way how we communicate art today. It's like I mean, good art inside a museum or on the street is like has this capacity. But I mean, in the debate before, it's like there was a neuroscientist, and I think that today, I mean, it's looking forward. It's like we changed in our brains. I mean, things are going so much faster. It's like, and things are not as they were before. It's like, so I can't say that it's like I'm against or for digital or against or for the drawing, you know, like, because I think that the human being has changed. It's like, and we are changing as we are sitting here. It's like, but I mean, a good institution can be something also that hold a little bit this liquidity in society today. You can go there and you can take some time. And I know, I mean, if you see lots of researchers, I mean, the kids today don't want to watch things on the smartphone. They want to see it for real. It's like, but you have to approach it in a way that is not condescendent, that is not, you know, like authorian in a bad way. But I still believe in the institution in the sense of, if I would have a heart problem, I wouldn't go to a car mechanic to fix my heart. It's like, because a heart doctor knows better about my heart than a car mechanic. And people at the museums and other institutions, we have a little bit more knowledge. Better, I don't know, but we know a little bit more, you know, like, so there should be like a respect from both sides. That but this is now talking about the institution of the museum. It's like, I think working outside this is a completely different game plan. It's like there you are dealing with, you can create another kind of emotion. It's like, I think that the palm tree in Warsaw is wonderful. It's like, I mean, it stands for so many things about, I mean, about the otherness. It's like something that is different, that doesn't really belong there, but it did belong there. It's like, so, I mean, in that sense, that couldn't happen. You couldn't put that palm tree in a museum. It wouldn't have the same effect. So you're doomed to work, you know, outside the institutions. Like, but then the question is like, I mean, is it good or bad that you have to fund it yourself? I mean, Mariusz says it's like this gives him freedom, you know, like to, you know, to. Is that, Mariusz? Is that important?
Well, it's important, but it also lets me to
pewnych zobowiązań i pewnych układów.
to leave some a system behind. I think that the institutional system that we have created, it also limits us, and that we keep forgetting about the basic values related to the artistic world. We talked about education as some kind of artistic activity. It can't be overrated. It's a brilliant tool that can be used for educating, treated as an artistic project. So I think it's not that we need to make some decisions. Some things are easy to be done when we are not limited, and sometimes it's easy to do things when we have connections. I wouldn't discriminate against either of these things. What I'm saying is that sometimes we lose things, and when you go into this institutional world, you just no longer feel like doing art. Because I start a rhythm during which I start to forget also about artistic things. If I may add, I would dream of working, cooperating with institutions. But speaking about language and trying to answer your question, when I thought about language, I also thought that there is this great power that no other discipline has, is presenting possible versions of reality that never have happened. It's not about showing or diagnosing what we have in one of the possible versions, because art is about billions of versions. But what I am most interested in is the version that makes you less certain that you see what you see. It tells you of what it could be, and it builds a gap of uncertainty where our body and our mind start to work and produce versions of reality that have never happened, but that could have been ours. And so this is the only domain that has this power. Okay, and this is how we have reached the end, unfortunately, of our debate. Unfortunately, because I feel that when we have approached the end of it, we have actually started it, because we have only brushed upon the top of the iceberg. But there's one thing that we can draw here, that we should learn to trust to other players of social life. And I would like to wish that to cities, because artists know very well what they should do. They need to be trusted, and they need to be given this umbrella for their creativity and openness should be created. And I think that this is a very good conclusion of this debate. Thank you very much for participating in it. Thank you. I would like to thank the audience for your participation and your questions. Thank you.
I dziękujemy też osobom,
Thank you very much for your patience, and we would also like to thank the interpreters. And tomorrow we are starting at 9, and we will be talking about practical aspects. We will have experience. We'll talk about experience from cities other than Polish cities, and we encourage you to attend the second day of the Forum of City Development. And good night. And if you want to talk, there's a lot of space for that. We strongly encourage, but I think we need to vacate this room. Thank you.
Yeah, I was wondering why you're so late on this again. Or you ignore me. Grab your things, I won't explain shit that's a warning. No, you don't have time to claim that you still want me. You can't today. Oh, I let myself lose. I feel my wings again. Oh, I'm feeling so good. I'm feeling so good. I let myself lose. I feel my wings again. Oh, I'm feeling so good. I'm feeling so good. The rain is calling home. The rain is finally calling home. On my own. I love this city light. I love this city light. Through the night, I let myself lose. I feel my wings again. I'm feeling so good. I'm feeling so good. I let myself lose. I feel my wings again. I'm feeling so good. I'm feeling so good. I'm feeling so good.